No cap, no cap, no cap, no cap. No cap, no cap.
Yeah, no cap on that. Welcome back to the next episode of the Flexibilities, where we out here with those that are out here killing the scene, mad agilities, just doing the most coast to coast. And I had to bring my guy out here who's just been a cultural icon, the epitome of what this show represents. I mean, just a real game changer, in motion and still making moves, making waves. My man Frank, go ahead and tell him a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, where you from, and however you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, man. Thank you for having me. My name is Frank Willis, owner of Frank's Famous Chicken and Waffles and the Famous brand. Originally from Los Angeles. Came to Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1991 on a basketball scholarship to UNM. And I've been there ever since and started my business about 13 years ago.
There we go, my man. There you go. Yep, just been crushing it. But I mean, I really, some people don't know that you play hoop out here. I mean, everybody knows about Frank's Chicken and Waffles. You got to stop by if you're in the city. But when I tell them that you used to hoop, they'd be like, for real? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. My man used to crush it back in the day. What are some of your favorite memories from your days with the UNM Lobos? If we could take a look into the past for a second.
Oh, man. Just being around all the guys, on the team and, of course, playing in the pit was incredible. I think that was the thing that lured me here was just, I didn't really know the history of the pit, but when I got here and I saw how big it was and saw how iconic it was, I guess, that, made me want to play in there more. And it was, it was fun to play in there. It was loud. And, I got to go to places and do things I, probably wouldn't have been able to see and do, had it not been for basketball.
Absolutely. I mean, after your UNM years, you was out. You did a tryout with the Nuggets. Is that correct?
Yeah. I tried out with the Nuggets, but I was kind of going through some things. I had just transferred to a school in Denver. Okay. And I wasn't, I was having my first child, and there was a lot of things going on. So I came back to Albuquerque and stopped playing at that point, and came back in Albuquerque and just kind of started living my life, trying to make a family for a minute.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we all have those kind of pivotal moments in our journey, and all of it, I always say, are stepping stones to my path of today. So, I mean, just because that Denver opportunity didn't work out, obviously it's for the better now. I mean, obviously for the community as well as yourself and your family. What was the moment that you're like, I'm going to do the chicken and waffles? Can you break that one down?
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple of things that happened. I can kind of tell you the long story since we're doing it this way. I guess I, from what people tell me, I've always been cooking for people, and since college, you know what I mean, since I've been out here. But I never really took it serious like that. But I did radio. I did a lot of different things and had a lot of different jobs, a lot of different hustles over the years, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what was my purpose, what was my thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were, at the time, it was still, chicken and waffles wasn't popular out here, but it was popular to me because I'm from Los Angeles and I ate at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles my whole life, so every time I go home, that'd be the first place I go.
Yeah.
And now we're not talking about now, but we're talking about, 20 years ago, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it was a lot better because, from what I hear, it's not doing too good. But, and I just got tired of trying to go get my fix for what I thought was good food.
Absolutely.
Having to, travel so far to do that. So, first thing that happened was, they told me there was a chicken and waffles restaurant opening up. And this is 2011, something like that. And I went over there, and they said it was chicken and waffles over there. I went to go eat. I went and ate over there, and I'm not gonna say the restaurant's name, but
Right.
I just thought that wasn't it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just sitting there, just thinking, and I was just like, wow. If this is what the representation is, I got to do something about this because I didn't.
There's
I
a
just
lane.
it just didn't hit the same. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So then it was another thing that happened was my partners that I used to hang out with. One of them had a clothing store.
Okay.
And so he needed a bulk of T-shirts, so we went to Los Angeles, and I said, "Hey, we could just do a quick turnaround and go out there and come back."
Yep. The alleys out there.
Yeah, go to the alley, get your T-shirts and whatever you need, and come back, and you know, problem solved. So we drove out there, but on the trip out there, I'm telling them, we ain't got that much time, but I'm gonna take you to Roscoe's and get chicken and waffles, blah blah blah. Blah. They were like, chicken and waffles, well, okay, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I was like, don't even worry about it. So we get there, and of course, we got $150 worth of food in front of us, you know what I mean? And
Right.
they love it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in Roscoe's and I'm looking around and I'm like, damn, there's a lot of money in here, you know? And so I don't know where my mind clicked on money, but I was just like, damn, there's a lot of money. But I knew they were gonna like it, so I was just like, that's too, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You felt the momentum. You felt the wave.
Yeah, I felt the wave. It was like the light bulb, it was just going off on my head somehow weird. And so on the trip back, when we're driving back to Albuquerque, I told them dudes, I said, man, when we get back to Albuquerque, man, I'm gonna open a chicken and waffles restaurant.
Nice.
now, mind you, I just lost my job.
Right.
And I only had $150 check to my name at the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was kind of messed up. But I stuck to my word, what I said. And when I got back to Albuquerque, I just, I was living with my sister. I didn't have my own place. I was, you know what I mean, not in a good place, but this had to happen. And my girlfriend at the time and my sister, we just started selling plates out of the apartment,
Yep.
And I went.
I used to order them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I went to the thrift store and bought a cheap waffle maker, and I went to Walmart and bought one of them cheap chicken fryers and what do you call it? A skillet, a big iron skillet, cast iron skillet from the thrift store. I think I got that one too, just for backup, and then just went to work, man, and we did that for 10 months.
Yep.
And until, the news got wind of it and they did a little article, and that, gave us more momentum, and that kind of started the whole buzz. And then Facebook also started the buzz, with us posting people's pictures all the time, and then they friends see it and all that. So, I mean, I can thank Facebook for our success too, because it was good free marketing,
Well, you were a pioneer in that lane too, because you was posting food basically before anybody else was posting food, and you knew that was a gravitational effect. If it looked good, something's going to happen. So, I mean, I don't know if you've gotten that props or thought of yourself as a pioneer in that wave, but you were above the wave when everybody else was still posting, I don't know, photos of us in the club. Like, what about this one? So that's amazing, my man. What about I really appreciate the deep backstory on that. What about where the name Frank's Famous come from? I know now where the idea, but.
Yeah, I mean, I was still living with my sister and trying to create the brand. What's the name going to be? What is it going to be? How is it going to be? And I don't know. I think I saw I was trying to think of something that would go with my name, or something that, I don't know, some kind of, nice little logo and something, but I think it was another Frank's or something like that, or somebody's else, and it had his Henry's famous hot dogs or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It was something like that, and I was just like, okay, huh. And I was like, well, I'm gonna put famous because I was like Frank's famous, the two F's, and I was like,
Yeah.
but and then it was like, and then I showed my sister, and I asked her what she thought. She was like, she's always, real critical for everything I do. I just like to throw stuff forward just to see what she's gonna say.
Right.
But I basically told her, I said, because she said, why you put famous? We're not even famous yet. How you gonna be saying? I said, well, guess what? I'm gonna put famous because don't nobody know us that we're not famous. So
Right.
once they figure out that we are famous, we already had a name. You know
There you
what I mean?
go. Facts on that.
So I was thinking forward in that regard. You know what I mean? Because I really thought about that name and why we would make ourselves famous, and we ain't even got $100 to our name.
Yeah. No. Speak into existence. I'm a big believer in that.
Right.
So I'm glad to hear that, my man. That's another amazing story. Along that vision, then, how'd you get into the move of the restaurant? Did you pick out a building? You were just like, all right, we need to get this into a more organized manner. What was the next move? Or, you know what I mean? What was the
It was like I said, after they put us on the news, more people started hearing about us, and I couldn't handle the orders after about 10 months.
That demand.
And it was just like getting to the point. Once we started finding a building, we found a building that a friend of mine used to have. And it was kind of, again, like, I'm a real believer in energy and, positive energy and things happening for a real reason, not just because. But it was weird because when my friend had a restaurant in there, I looked around and I looked at it. I was like, dang, this is cool. I'd like to have something just like this.
Oh, wow.
And when she got rid of it, I was like, oh, that built, now it would turn into something else, a burrito place or something like that.
Yeah.
But I always looked at it when I passed by. And we had another building we were looking at, but it wasn't right. And so we had to go. He had another building, which is the one we moved in on San Mateo. And he went and showed us that. As soon as we drove up to the thing, I said, this is the building I wanted in the first place. I said, this is crazy. I said, you own this building too? Yeah. I said, oh man, it was meant to be,
Yeah, yeah, that is crazy, my man. I've had some experiences like that. That's why I don't know. Some people don't believe in the energy to believe in the wave, but you think about it, you got to figure it out, see it, like literally see it, not just, that's why I don't know. Some people don't understand just that power of the mind and power of the focus. And then you really got to figure out what the next moves are to make it happen. But I believe if you can see it, you can achieve it. What were some of were you open during COVID? Yeah, you was open during COVID. Was that one of your biggest challenges in the restaurant business, or what would you say your biggest challenge was?
That was one of them, That was one of them because I just made a decision after I saw it was going back and forth. You can open or you can't open, or you need a shield, you need a mask, all these different rules and all these different things. I just shut it down and I said, okay, let's just do nothing but to goes and we'll take it out to the cars and like everybody else is doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it ain't gonna be a whole lot of staff, but it will still be open making something. But it was enough to get us through COVID. But had we had to do that to survive, we wouldn't have been able to make it. You know what I mean? So we had a lot of people helping us out and looking out for us, and my landlord and a few people that made sure that we just didn't fail. Because it was uncertainty. So
yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that y'all made it through. You've always been one of my favorites, so it would have been sad to see if you would have been another one of the good ones that fell by the wayside. So I'm glad you stayed out there and were tough with that, brother. Speaking of tough, what would you say was harder trying to navigate D1 and make it to some next steps, or just come up with the next steps in the hustle of the restaurant business? What has brought more challenges and more gratitude for overcoming those challenges?
Basketball was something I've been doing my whole life. Starting a restaurant, we've been doing this now 13 years, and the restaurant industry is really difficult. It's really hard. It's one of the hardest industries. It's not a whole lot of money, regardless of what people may think they see or think it is. Yeah, we are growing, but it's a money pit. You know what I mean? And you got to do a lot of different things and a lot of hard work to keep your numbers down and keep things going to just break even almost. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, but we've been blessed to be successful in this way that we've still been able to go. And I think if God wouldn't bring us this far if we we're just going to be just ready to quit and just drop everything. So we must have another purpose and another thing that we have to do, because we're growing a little bit and going to be growing some more hopefully next year. And it's just dealing with the difficulties of the industry, of the restaurant industry, is probably the biggest challenges, and not knowing, because I didn't go to school or culinary school or anything like that. So,
well, the secret's in the sauce, my man, and I think that sells itself. You can't teach that in the culinary industry or anything like that. I know you said you're expanding. Are you at the airport right now too, as well? Is that one of your new?
We're working on it. We're working on it. We have some partners that have expertise in airports around the country. And so we did a licensing deal to have our restaurant and our likeness and our recipes and stuff in the airport.
Congrats, my man. See, that's amazing. That's honestly the first brother I know that has made that achievement as well. So, I mean, that's really flexing on the game. I'm glad that you dropped that little gem on us, because I didn't know about that, or what the real story about that was. But
yeah, October. It should be open close to October, close to Balloon Fiesta.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, my man. There you go. See, this guy's a genius right here. This guy is a genius. I know that you've also had kind of a big music influence. I love anybody that has not been to Frank's. I mean, there's records all over the place. The music is jumping. How did you decide, that is also going to be my vibe in there? What was the decision behind that?
Because I think, my true passion before even basketball was music. Born into it because my father was in a group called Black Ice in the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
It was a 5-man, doo-wop kind of funk group.
All right.
That they had. So I've been into it. I've had vinyl in my hand since I was born. You know what I mean? Because of him, and just the love of it. Just continue watching him, watching them rehearse. Just being in the behind the scenes in the industry, not knowing that I was in the industry, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
But so when I decided to do the restaurant, it was just kind of made sense, because number one, I had a lot of vinyl already that I've been collecting for over 30 years. So
yeah, my man.
I was just trying to figure out how to do something cheap to design the restaurant without spending a whole lot of money. And I figure, there's two things people can do. They can tell a story about their favorite food, and they can tell a story about their favorite song.
Oh, my man. So, that is a gem and a half right there, too. Good.
Right.
Yeah. No, I never heard that one before, but that is great. And if it's their favorite song over their favorite food, bam, bam. Now you're
right. My mama used to listen to that song when she was cleaning the house. My dad used to make chicken like this when we was in Alabama. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Those type of things. So, those things kind of go together to me, and I love them both. Probably music more. So that's kind of why we've expanded and put the record store upstairs and all these different things. So, because that's just what I guess it's a safe haven for me now that I can be at the restaurant more because now we
Right.
got that. So, but we're trying to build something with that and build our brand, the Famous brand, and trying to expand that as well. So that's part of it right now too.
That's a beautiful thing, my man. Anytime you want to stop by and promote anything famous, let me know. I'd love to help you out with that. What are some of the other famous endeavors? You say, is there any other things that besides the food that you got coming down the pipe?
Hopefully cannabis. We've been in the cannabis field and been licensed, fully integrated for 3 years now.
Nice.
But we haven't been in business, so we've kind of came through some pitfalls with that. So we're working on that as well, and that's
Yeah.
some stuff is coming, but it's just not there quite yet. But we're going to start off with a small dispensary right down the street from the restaurant, so that'll be coming soon at the end of the year.
My man, crushing it in all corners, blowing the dust out the desert. That is truly flexing on the game. What is your long-term vision for Frank's, man? Where do we see you in 20 years, 30 years? Is it going to be Mayor Frank, President Frank, 150 Franks and waffles? What's the 30-year vision, my man?
The vision is just leaving a legacy for my kids, and grandkids, and having enough, things to. I don't know. I'm just creating things right now, but just trying to leave a legacy for them, and we got some franchise stuff in the works also to maybe, go across the country with it, and of course, if the airport does well, we may have some in some other airports. After that. But, just to leave a successful legacy that I can leave some kind of generational wealth for my kids is, kind of what I'm working on right now.
A beautiful thing, my man. I'm right behind you, trying to do the same. So I'm glad. I love that type of vision. That's where we all need to be. We got to really get back to the youths here, one way or another. Speaking of that, what advice would you give to anyone starting the dream, traits in the dream, in the dream, maybe down on the dream? What's the advice? What's the advice for us, Frank? How we gonna get there like you?
Just finding what like I said, what you're passionate about, because if you don't have passion about it, you're not going to do it. It's always going to feel like work. It's always going to feel stressful and stuff like that. So, identifying what you're good at, I mean, everybody's not an entrepreneur. Everybody's not, those things, but everybody has dreams. So, sometimes we pass them up because we think they're not attainable. But if you speak them and you talk about them and you put action to them, they definitely will happen. A lot of people say these cliche things, but I mean, I'm a testament to it. And good things start also happening, and good energy also follows when you do those things. And people believe in you, and they want to help you, and they want to support you, and all these things. So, it's very tough in the beginning. It took me 3 years to figure out the restaurant, to be honest with you, you know what I mean, before I even started, and I was dead broke, so but eventually, sometimes you have to make a sacrifice. Like, to me, when I started, it had to work. I had to eat off of it. I had to live off of it, you know what I mean? So in that way, when you have that kind of work ethic where I'm not gonna have nowhere to eat at the end of the or to live at the end of the week, that's the kind of mindset you have to put towards anything you're gonna do, and it will be successful. It just takes time, and it is a marathon, and you just have to be persistent and be able to weather the storms.
Absolutely. My man, you just came with so many jewels. I hope that everybody picked them all up, because that was nothing but golden nuggets, diamonds, rubies, all of that. Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it. I don't think they're corny cliches. That's the type of stuff that I live off myself. I'm a driven person, and no one else is going to do it, so I got to do it. And if it was easy, I say everybody would do it. You know what I mean? Right. So, my man, I know you're very busy. You got other things you got to get back to. I really appreciate your time. And again, again, if there's anything I could ever help cross promote for any of the brands, any of the restaurants, I know you're a community man with the community events, let me know. I'd always love to go ahead and just give some love and shine back to you because you've done so much for the community. You kept my belly full. And yeah, I sat in the restaurant and like, I remember that song too. So my man, I really appreciate your time. You have a blessed evening. Stay blessed and stay killing the community with all your flex on your abilities, my man.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you for having me, brother. Much love to you.
Thank you, my man. All right.
All right.
Out.